Hey YouTube, welcome back to Uni X TCG. And it's been a little bit, but we are moved, we're starting to settle in. You can see there's a new backdrop, it'll be more and more fleshed out as we go. But today, we should be on the eve of full set reveals, because if not this Friday, which would line up with the last set, it's going to be next Friday, which is cutting a little bit close, so I'm really hoping it's this Friday. That being said, I wanted to talk today about the format as it is going into Nats, and then the cards going into the new format. We're getting 5 new leaders, actually sorry, we're getting 7 new leaders, and I think some of them do show promise, but there is an ongoing theme with every single leader that has been revealed so far. So with that being said, if you like the video, and if you love it, subscribe. And if I can just give a little call to action, I am almost monetized on my second channel, Universe X, just a Dragon Ball channel in general. So if you'd like to go in the description, check that out. I do Sparking Zero content, I do Daima breakdowns, the manga comes back, I'm doing that. It's just a general Dragon Ball channel for the general Dragon Ball fan. So with that being said, let's hop into this discussion. So it's really no secret that we are in a triangle with a little bit of a fringe corner. You know what I mean? We have Vegeta being a very, very, very good late game deck, controlling the game, keeping the life high, and then eventually just through attrition, the double attacks with Vegito, the peel off loops, as well as just general pressure with the leader himself, gets the job done. And then the things that really get into Vegeta would be next up, androids. Androids are a quintessential green deck. There's an Apex being that has not changed since set 2, barely has changed since set 1, and it's still primed to be one of the better decks in the game. Its high roll is unbelievably strong due to the android cards from set 2 that can allow you to ramp, be played multiple times a turn, all this mess, and it does quintessential green things. Getting to 8 energy way faster than most people ever thought possible, putting big threats like Broly 8 on board, and then running over your opponent with ruthless aggression, not to mention the fact that when it flips and you have 6 or more energy, which is the whole point of the deck, you're going to be able to swing for 30k, which is forcing out 2 10ks or a super combo or an extra card out of your opponent's hand every single time. Very, 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 very strong, and you know, we're here, we know what it does, it's been here for a while. And then you have the newest of the newcomers, and this is Bardock. A great, you know, kind of just contrast to the decks that have been around since the release of the game. Bardock is a new starter deck, the newest starter deck so far, and just realistically, the ability to press 25k to check the consistency of your deck by scrying the top card of your deck, and then on top of that, the snowball effect that Black seems to have. Black is able to push heavy aggression in the beginning of the game by landing 1 to 2 Bardock SRs, swinging multiple times, as well as being able to get the SS4 Goku secret rare on board. And if you can't answer the first one and the second one lands, so help you, because drawing 2 on the end of each turn is pretty much just going to landslide you into oblivion in terms of advantage. Black is not to be scoffed at, and it's getting even stronger next set. So with that being said, that is the triangle. We all know this, with the fringe being Jiren. Jiren is a deck that is very interesting because it has very high highs and very low lows. If Jiren gets placed up against Vegeta, between Vegeta's ability to remove threats without KOing them, as well as Vegeta's ability to be a 35k swinger at minimum once he's awakened, you really put the pressure on Jiren, never allowing it to keep a board, never allowing it to keep its ace boss Jiren card, as well as being able to press over it and completely negate the fact that he's a 25k body. That being said, when you get paired up against green, you have a very, very, very good matchup where sometimes they cannot interact with you without playing multiple cards. Big bang attack plus something to destroy your card, usually being a 5-drop Gohan or an 8-drop Broly. Now, that being said, there are some holes even in the green matchup, such as Cell being able to remove your entire board with the 8-drop Cell from set 3. So there are going to be some holes, but you are pretty good at walling green, you're pretty good at walling yellow, and with Black, it's very interesting because you guys have a tug of war advantage. As long as you can answer their Super Saiyan 4s the turn they come down, like they drop Super Saiyan 4, they get their draw, they pass, you remove it. You should be in a good position. At the same time, they also have Pans to stop your Jirens from sticking, and they have the Para Bros to stop your Jirens from attacking, preventing you from getting the top card of your deck into your life. And there lies a balance with that. Jiren can perform well, but you can't ignore the fact that Jiren has its really good matchups and its really uphill matchups. So yes, that is the Triangle Plus that we've got going into this next set. Now, once we do arrive at the next set, we can already see that they intend to buff Jiren. We see the cards like Topo, and I've already stated how much of a fan I am of a card that allows you to get your draw 2 off without waiting to see if your opponent has removal. That's by far the worst part about the Jiren SR, the fact that it has to stick on the board, and then after sticking on the board, you also have to make sure that, you know, your opponent attacks, and there's a lot of ways your opponent can work around this. Removing him before the first attack even happens is generally optimal. Blue excels at this. He's an activate battle, so any effects that can remove him on when attacking, such as, you know, Beerus minusing him and then Hellas coming in and things like that. Sorry, that's not an on-attack, it's on play, but like reducing his power by 15 and then swinging with like a SR Gohan from set 2 removes him before he can even use his effect. So there's a lot of different things you have to dance around. And having a card like this that can come in, draw you 2, and then turn itself sideways for 30 is going to be a momentum changer. It may not be like an end-all be-all to fixing the holes that Jiren has, but it's going to be nice to be able to have defensive and offensive options when you know Jiren is not likely to stick the following turn. So yes, we have to see the rest of the set because there is going to be more spoilers that are going to support Jiren. I highly doubt they just release one card and then call it a day, especially seeing is that it just looked like Jiren was so half-baked going into set 1, or set 3. And what I mean by half-baked, all you Jiren fans, I am a Jiren fan, I have that deck like max rarity. I don't mean half-baked as in the deck is bad. I mean there are obvious holes, and I just feel like with UI Goku being a secret rare, with UI Goku being a leader, we're just bound to get Jiren support in this next coming set, and I think Topo's proof of that. So yes, going past here, we now have Son Goku GT. And a lot of people are still on Bardock, and I do believe that that holds merit. A lot of the things that you can play in Son Goku GT, you can also play in Bardock to just as good, if not better, efficiency, because Bardock is a more consistent deck in general, and the leader is good in a vacuum. And speaking of that, I do want to real quick point out that the first 3 leaders that we pointed out are all good in a vacuum. That's the whole thing that makes them good. Vegeta, as long as you meet the conditions, he's a 35k swinger. The androids, as long as you meet the conditions of literally being green, bam, you're a 30k swinger. And then when you have Bardock, he's going to just be at 25k while scrying. They are all good in a vacuum, and that is what makes these leaders good, and that's actually going to be the mad contrast between these leaders and the leaders that we're going to get into when we start looking at set 4. However, back to Goku GT, you have the fact that he is sitting here gaining support, and I'm not sure if this is going to put him over Bardock, because like I said, consistency it's killer. It is. But we can't ignore how much support he is getting. So moving over into the first one, we already know that Son Goku GT has the ability to bump something up by 10k, but then if you use the energy marker for the effect, instead of just a random energy, you're going to do it by 15k, and this lasts until the end of your opponent's turn, making it harder to swing over, making it harder for red to remove it, because red is all based on power. Now, GT Goku coming into the fray is going to be really, really interesting, because next set, we've already seen that he gets Pan GT, and the Pan GT is definitely a little bit of a powerhouse. It says on play, choose up to one of your Son Goku GT cards, and it gains plus 5k power for the turn. Then if you have an energy marker, it gains plus 5k power for the turn. It's also a 10k. And since it says Son Goku GT cards and not battle cards, it can touch your leader. So playing this for one with an energy marker is going to give your leader a 10k boost minimum. And you can also combo with this card to make it a 10k. Whether you want to split the combo power out to boost your leader by 10 and then save it on defense if you don't think your opponent has that destruction in them, or if you want to just go full send and use it to make it a 20k boost total, this card is a lot of power for one energy. And yes, it's not inherent. Yes, you have to pay for it. Yes, you have to have the energy marker. But depending on how the game goes, especially if you can cycle them Hercules, especially if, you know, you've got an abundance of these cards, you can really, really make some strong shots with your leader and other Son Goku GT cards, like your secret rare or the card we're going to be talking about next, which is the Son Goku GT Double Striker. This is actually pretty intense. It's a 4-cost, 30k, 5k combo power. It's nice to have a Double Striker that can actually have combo power in it. That's a huge part, because there are a fair amount of 0ks in the deck between the mandatory 4 of secret rares as well as your double strikers and whatnot, your 10 times Kamehamehas. So it's nice to have more combo power. But the thing is, essentially, this is another 5-cost double strike, because you're going to have to use either Pan to, actually not even Pan works on this one. You're gonna have to use your leader effect with the energy marker to make this guy bigger. But if you have like 6 energy, 7 energy, you know, it's been an elongated game, you will have the opportunities of playing this card, playing a Pan, playing your leader effect with GT Goku, and then just going off on your opponent. And that's pretty scary. I think this card has some of the highest shotgun potential we've seen in a while due to the way the leader works and the way that Pan 1-drop works. It's just kind of devastating. Pan is like Margarita. It's literally just like Margarita. It's just very powerful. Just a little more limited. So with that being said, I think that GT Goku, depending on what else we see in the set, definitely should be looked at. And we also have the Trunks SR that's coming out into the set as well, that we'll get into a little later. So now that we are done with the existing leaders that are out, let's talk about some of the new leaders. And with that, we are going to look at Son Goku from the Daima starter deck. This is very, very cool. He's kind of a direct upgrade, I think, to Starter Ku. Yes, he doesn't do the defensive power, but we've seen that most of the time, the way the numbers add up, we're not swinging neutrals into things that we really want to remove from the field. That's just not happening often. So this guy being able to reduce something by 5k, but also boost a battle card by 5k, makes a 10k swing. That is going to be able to make a monumental just difference when you're swinging on something. I mean, you have two 25ks looking at each other and you make one 20k and one 30k. Automatically now, it needs 15k just to survive. And that's normally the threshold where you really have to think if you want to keep something. And that's not counting all the other minus effects that Red's going to have. So I think a lot of people may be sleeping on Son Goku Mini. I think that with some of the cards that we're getting and some of the cards we already have, it's gonna be nasty. Like him plus 3-drop Gohan from set 2 is a vicious swing. Him awakened, just him swinging for 30k while you get to minus a particular card by 20, he's going to be clearing things left and right. Another card that we're getting is this Shin. And this Shin is kind of wild too. 10k for the combo is wild for an effect that's almost like a, I mean, it's not a floodgate, but it's like an offensive version of a floodgate. Auto win a battle card with 25k power or more attacks, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, he gains minus 5k power for the turn. This is strong. Put a 3-drop Gohan SR next to this and you're minusing something by 20k. Like, that's just inherently strong. And being a 10k in hand, he's never missing wherever he is, whether he's on the field or he's in your hand. So I do think that we are starting to see Daima Goku actually be an option. Looking at the SR for his starter deck, we are seeing that there is a Goku that instead of having an on-play effect, he has an on-attacking effect. And while I I definitely value that the minus 20k on the initial Goku SR, I do value that a lot from the starter deck, from the first starter deck. However, this does have to be noted that as long as this guy survives, he's going to be able to start taking things off the board. Now, there are sticky threats in our game, such as Jiren SR and more, that will be a little harder to remove with something like this. However, there are a lot of cards that don't have that sort of protection, and this is going to be a massive way of clearing a board. Plus all the minusing, it's going to be good. It's going to be good, especially in a deck focused on dampening power to then remove them by battle or effect. Then we've got this other Son Goku Daima, and this is a generic good red card. He does have a mandatory add one card from your life to your hand, so you can't just play him late willy-nilly in the game without that risk. However, he's great to see in the early to mid game, and his permanent makes him absolutely huge. Going up to a 30k if you're awakened, and if you're playing the Son Goku mini leader, he's going to be at 35k, and you minus something else by 5k. Red is not going anywhere next set, in my opinion. I think that red is going to be good. I'm just not quite sure about the red leader coming next set, which is what we're going to talk about. But first, let's have a quick message from our sponsors, and then we're going to get right back into this. So stay tuned. Alright y'all, taking a quick moment to shout out the sponsors for this video. First up is Mystic TCG, a store based in Missouri that sells all sorts of TCG product, even more than what you see featured here on this page. They also buy singles, collections, and prize cards, so make sure you actually catch them out in their store in Missouri at an event, or even on their Facebook, just to be able to see the events here, but also ask them what they're up to and what they're looking for in terms of vending. You can also use the code UNIXTCG to get discounts off your pre-orders as well as orders, so make sure you get your TCG product while it's hot. Then you have Eclipse Cards and Hobby based out of Texas, and if that sounds familiar, they did sponsor me with a box of Fusion World Set 1. But as you can see on this page, there is a plethora of TCG products that they are actually having for sale at their establishment. You can also even buy things that aren't just TCG products. As you can see on the screen right here, they hold their own locals, they hold their own events, and they are going out to more and more events. You can actually check their Facebook to see their schedule, as well as call and ask about their vending list. And at the checkout for their website, you can use the code UNI10X to actually get percentages off your pre-orders or your orders. So go check it out as well. And we're always up to all sorts of things in Universe X. So you can go down the description and check the link tree to find out about my other channels, my Twitch, or any other avenues that I'm creating content on. But if you want to go the extra mile, you can always go down to any description on any video and find my Amazon affiliate links. These products here will differ from video to video to cater to the audience in question, but it's just very easy to see something that you may like or be interested in, open it up and choose the style and or color that'll work for you. All proceeds will give kickbacks to the channel, so it'll be some direct support, and I'll always appreciate the help from you guys. So with that being said, let's get back to the video. Yeah, cool stores, cooler owners, and you should really get to know them. Just let you guys know, it's not updated in a little ad, just Mystic CCG has shifted locations, so make sure you go on their website or their Facebook, see their new location, maybe give it a try if you're in the area or visiting. But now, let's get back to the content. Okay, so let's actually get over to the first of the leaders, and what we're going to talk about now is, before we get all of these spoilers and the rest of the set, how I'm feeling about these, because one thing that it looks like this set has gravitated away from are leaders that are inherently good by themselves in a vacuum. All of these leaders look to be like big players in their own decks, but you clearly need the rest of the archetype around it. And I think that's better from a design standpoint, simply because it's much easier to limit or ban a singular or two cards than it is to mess with an entire leader. Also, it kind of ruins the value of alt art leaders and whatnot. So when it comes to this, we've got this Goku, and you guys all know he draws one card when he attacks, he awakens at 3, but he does not flip and draw or untap energy. Furthermore, he does not draw on attacking when he's on his back end. So essentially, activate battle once per turn, choose up to one battle card in the battle area, and this card's original power becomes the same as that card's power for the battle. So once per turn on the offense, you can copy something on the board. Once per turn on the defense, you can copy something on the board. Now, we don't have full spoilers, but this is probably my least favorite leader of the bunch. You are entirely dependent on the rest of your deck to draw. His effect only activates once per turn, so I don't see how your opponent going wide against you does not just floor this deck. You're seeing less cards, you're already at 3 life, and you can only protect yourself once, and depending on what's on the board, unless you have something on board that's drastically stronger than the rest of your opponent's board, you're likely going to meet their attack and then have to combo up. So it's just kind of not my bag. It's just not it. But we don't know. The thing I am afraid of is for support to make this deck extremely competitive. I would hope it's a leader lock, because if it's not leader locked, I don't want to know what kind of cards offset this leader not drawing and things like that could be put in other red decks. So that's just my kind of take on it right now. Now, looking at the cards that we know we're getting in the higher slots, you've got this Goku Frieza, and we've already talked about these in other videos, so I'm not going to go directly into their effects. However, it's really cool that when this card comes on board, it not only gains 20k power, making it at 45k, but it also prevents itself from being removed from the battle area. That being said, you have a sticky rock that cannot be removed, and that means that you have a 45k leader swing on your turn, and then a 45k defensive starting point on your opponent's turn. And that's pretty cool. When attacking, a little bit of removal. This still doesn't fix the deck not drawing, it's just for one turn you have an immense push for 45k, and I can dig that. And then you also have this Son Goku SER, which is going to definitely be kind of cool. I do like how on play until the end of your opponent's turn, you can negate the first damage you take. That's just gonna mean that whenever you choose, it's almost like Jiren's effect with his SR. You can look at an attack, go, do I want to get rid of the cards in hand, or do I just want to negate the damage with the Jiren effect? Okay, we're going to do that. And that's what this is. You can just stop the first damage you take and just save the cards in hand. He's also going to be a 40k, so he's kind of a double factor, because if your opponent attacks with a 30k and leaves it there, you can copy this 40k and go up to 40k and be like, okay, stop. But then if they attack again, yeah, you've got the effect that this card left on the board. So realistically, it kind of is like a 2 effect shield, like a one damage shield and then a kind of sort of pseudo damage shield, unless your opponent goes up extremely high. So I can get behind that. This being so integral to how the deck works makes me think that they expect you to awaken very late game and stay unawakened most of the game. And that's peculiar for Red, but not unheard of with Jiren coming out and pretty much doing the same thing. When attacking, you choose all your opponent's battle cards and minus them by 20k. That's a powerful effect. This is going to be a very, very strong boss card for any slower red deck, and I'm here for it. Now we're going to move over to Gohan, and this is yet another, like I said, they all follow this trend. All these leaders are archetype dependent, and I'm okay with that. But he's an awakening at 4, and then he's going to reduce by discarding a card, reduce the cost of a extra card that has both Sand and Earthling in its special traits by 2. Cool. We've only seen like one of them, right? We do have some other ones in here, like I think Time Machine, I believe, and few Final Hope Slash, both Trunks cards that can do that, but you're reducing them by not blue, so it's not like they're going to go any lower than that. Final Hope Slash will just stay a 1 cost, so will Time Machine. So realistically, we're looking at Galactic Donuts, and we need to see the other ones that come in the set. Unfortunate, but until then, we really don't know what this leader is going to have as a payoff. Now, looking at his SRs, you see it as Gotenks, which clearly shows that it's a deck that you're going to put a lot of cards into the drop with. You've got some self-mill on here. This is bottom decking a 3 or less and putting to the bottom of the deck. I'm not too big on this card. I think that he's cool, but I think that bottom decking a 3 or less is often not enough. That's why the SR Gohan from set 3 sometimes needs help around it, like a Mai or something, or a Vegeta already on board, because 4 is the best sweet spot for removing cards right now. And then while this one mills 2 and then can go up to 35, the original Gotenks for 25 is still getting back 2 cards, which in some cases can be just as good, if not better. So we gotta look at this. Blue does have the secret rare, the other secret rare in this set, and this is definitely driving home that there's probably gonna be some self-mill. This guy is going to be able to come down and prevent you from losing the game if you have 0, which is risky and not risky at the same time. You know, you can probably, you never want to go down to 0 life or 0 cards in deck with just one of these on the field. That's just asking for it to get blown up. Absolute Lightning to, I guess Absolute Lightning puts the bottom of the deck, but then you draw and then you lose. But it's just asking for a gajillion things to happen to this card. But I think 2 of them on the field, if you can manage it, would probably be like back-to-back turns of casting this guy, like turn 6 and 7 casting this guy. You're probably going to be able to be a lot better against certain decks. Black is a little iffy because of the Bardock leader, but red is probably gonna have a harder time getting rid of all these. The secret rare Goku probably is going to hurt it. I think, if I think about it that way. Secret rare Goku from the set probably hurt it because it's gonna make these, 20Ks that can easily be swung over. So you're kind of sitting here risking it for the biscuit with these. However, if you don't go down to 0 cards in deck and you just kind of swing for 40k once per turn, and then when you know you're about to go in for the kill, like if you have 2 of these on boards, and then you can swing like a bunch of times, that's pretty crazy. So I'm kind of here for it. But we don't know enough about Gohan, and when it comes to blue, you're always going to be strapped for figuring out where the value is with blue, simply because Vegeta is such a good leader in a vacuum. You always have to wonder, no matter what I'm doing with another blue deck, is it better than 35k swings for free? And the answer is 90% of the time, no. So I'm a Gohan stan, I'm a Gohan Coper, but we'd have to see magic, actual magic in this set for him to be viable next to or even over Vegeta. Following the trend, we've got this Scouter Vegeta, speaking of Vegeta, and he is a very, very different kind of green leader. A green leader that tries to seemingly push in the early game instead of the late game, and This also, we need a lot. We need to see a lot. We've seen a field card. We've seen two SRs, which we're going to get to in a minute, and it does look like there can be some pressure that this deck puts out. Often casting something for its full price and then using the leader to cheat something into play. So you're playing 2 bodies a turn, and that seems like you can start like as early as turn 4 when you're awakened, and that's pretty cool. But in terms of awakening, we need to be able to get there. Self-awakeners are going to be very important, and green does not have the most inherently just does not have the most self-awakeners. So that's going to be a thing on its own. And then also, when you have a stratagem switch like this, you have to be very careful because none of the other sets support this gameplay. Like, you have so many cards that ask you to have 6 or more energy, and this deck does not seem like it's going to get there often. Not only if it's not going to get there often, but maybe you don't stay because you could get up to 6 and have to start sacrificing your energy. So we really do have to see how this deck works out. But I'm scared. I don't really have a lot of high hopes for this one because this is taking blue in a completely different direction that doesn't coexist at all with its previous direction. So this is a leader where, much like Red Goku, I'm not really seeing it being used over previous leaders. Even Blue Gohan, it's got a lot that it needs to be able to even be looked at. So far we've got 3 leaders that may not seem like they're going to be competitive. But like I said, all of these seem to need their archetype to know. But Daima Goku's looking pretty hot, so at least that's a win. Looking at this Nappa, it is a 3 cost, and you are putting it into play. Playing it on its normal, you're going to be able to take a life from your energy, and take a life and put it into your energy rest mode, which is good ramp, taking you from 3 to 4 immediately. And then if you don't have any, or you can choose if you don't have any Vegeta battle cards, this card can attack for the turn. So we need to see another Vegeta. That way we can play the Vegeta, have this guy on board. He's going to be able to swing. 30k for 3 is very nice. Being able to play it for free is even more nice. So yeah, we're starting to see that pressure. And then we have a cool little double striker, 40k 6 cost double striker. You're going to be able to put an energy into your drop and then KO something that costs 5 or less. I like this. I'm very interested in this leader. Like I said, I just don't have my hopes up because a lot of green's previous support needs you to have 6, 7, 8 energy, and this is not doing that. So that's just my only thing. Now we're moving over to Buu, and Buu is probably, from what we've seen so far, in my opinion, the most complete leader from set 4 based off of these. Even without knowing the rest of the set, just his 2 SRs show so much synergy that I am very excited to see what else comes out in here. An Awaken at 4 leader that can then turn over and attack multiple times a turn or even get more energy, which are 2 effects that normally don't find themselves in yellow. And I'm happy about that. But the synergy about destroying Majins or evil wizards just lets you know that we're going to get some on KO effects. We've already started to see them with like B. I think that this leader having its own double striker is awesome. That double striker playing a 3-drop is awesome. And that 3-drop, depending on which one you're playing, being able to untap itself, be another destruction, a destruction trigger. There's a lot of cool things going with this deck with just 3 cards, not even seeing the rest of the set. So we're going to look at those cards in a split second, but I do think that Majin Buu Evil may be a very, very, very aggressive, fun to play yellow deck, and yellow needs a win if you ask me. So looking at those SRs, you've got the 3-drop Majin Buu. Just, yeah, you know, you're once per turn, you're able to KO a battle card and draw a card. Already cool enough. If we start getting a lot of on KO effects, you're going to be getting that double play, being able to get a card off of this effect and then get whatever effect of the card that was KO'd. Very, very nice. And then if your opponent has 6 or more cards in hand, discard 1 card from their hand. So you're kind of hitting them on all fronts. You're going to KO something, maybe untap your leader, make them discard a card, and I think that's just like cool pressure. I do want to be a little wary because when an aggressive deck also has hand destruction, you burn them from 2 different ends. For you guys that were watching me back when I was playing Masters, you guys already kind of know how I feel about this. Hand destruction comes in 2 different forms in a card game. Like this, at least. Pushing cards out of your hand, out of your opponent's hand by attacking and pressuring them. That's the tried and true way. If you swing in a neutral attack and they don't want to take the damage, they have to lose a card. That is still hand destruction, a card for a card. But then doing it by effect is wild, because if your opponent has 6 cards in hand, and you attack them, will use this effect, you're going to bring them down to 5 cards. Then you're going to attack, and if they're at 4 life, 3 life, they don't want to take anymore, they're going to have to discard another card, minimum. So you're really starting to hammer on that hand, and that is a very, very, very slippery slope to start walking on. Now we've got this Majin Buu kid, just a double striker who can play a 4 or less Majin or Evil Wizard. That's really, really cool. So he comes to the party and he brings a friend. As we all know, cheating battle cards into play is the quickest way for a board to get out of hand. So yeah, let's watch this Majin Buu deck. But without knowing the rest of the set, he seems the most promising just off of what we see. Then we have got Baby Vegeta. And this card is pretty cool, another Awaken at 4 liter, and then his permanent, you can use Brainwashed or Machine Mutants in rest mode as combos. Cool, right? And then when attacking, he draws 1 card. Now, that seems very, very cool. You can attack with something, and then attack with something else, and then combo something. And then looking at his SRs, like moving over to Super Baby 1, he just says 3 cost, 20k power, on play up to 1 battle card with a cost of 2 or less in Brainwashed or Machine Mutant from your special traits, any special traits from your hand. Auto once per turn when a card is using a combo from your battle area while this card is in battle, draw 1 card. This is cool. This is cool. You get to get a little bit of a refund for the cards you played out. To a degree, we're going to get into that. And then he's very aggressive. This deck looks to be very aggressive. And then moving over, we've got Grade 8 Baby, which on play, you play 1 battle card with a cost of 2 or less, no restriction. So this could be a Pan, this could be a SR Trunks, which we're going to get into next. And then when attacking, you choose up to 1 battle card with a cost of 3 or less, place in Zoner's combo area, pseudo removal. There's a lot of good 3 cost cards with 0 combo power. The thing I am wary about looking at this is that you're playing a lot of cards from your hand, and then you're comboing with them, supposedly. And if you combo with these cards, you're going minus out of your hand, you're getting an extra attack, and then you might combo with them, and then you're losing your board presence. So normally, Black is very, very adept at making a hand and building on that hand. But it looks like Baby is going to be very, very hard on your hand control. Like, you're going to be bleeding cards from your hand at an attempt to be hyper aggressive. And with decks like that, those are generally like glass cannon type decks, you know what I mean? Like, they can put out the aggression, but if you survive the aggression and you crack the field, they're going to be stuck looking at you like, oh man, I have no cards in hand. And that's what Baby is looking like to me. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, you know, we have the SS4 SCR, but look at this secret rare, or not, look at this SR, right? It's a 4-drop, another 4-drop with 0 combo power. You're gonna have to pick and choose where this slot is gonna go. Competing, it's wild to think that a Black deck will have any cards competing with SS4 Goku, but that is what this card does. And you can't play both on the same turn. You're gonna have to make a choice. You're gonna have to figure it out. And if you include both of these in your deck, that's just more 0Ks, which could potentially leave you even worse off for combo power when you're playing these things from the hand to the field and comboing with them to maybe get effects off or defend yourself. So I want to keep my eye on this. We've got the SRs, but they're gonna have to show me something that really wows me. Like, I know we have a singular Baby card, you know, the child form, but they're gonna have to wow me to really make me feel like, okay, this is safe. Because right now I'm still leaning at Bardock or GT Goku perhaps. And then speaking of Bardock and GT Goku, this Trunks is nasty. It's nasty for all Black decks, but it's just nasty. It's the 2-cost Self-Awakener that shields. As long as you, if you have an energy marker, your non-Trunks GT battle cards cannot be removed by the battle area by your opponent's skills. It's so gross that this isn't just GT cards or Pans and Gokus. It's so gross that this, you could literally play that 4-drop Baby and then play out this card, take a life, awaken, and then your Baby is shielded. Like, what? That's just, this card is insane. I think this card is going to change up how the format works, especially if Black is still one of the most played colors next set. You will not be able to go through the game without having 2 or 1 drop removal for a 2-drop. You need to be able to, the moment they play out Trunks, you have to answer it the following turn, or you could be swept by them playing an SS4 Goku under it the following turn, or maybe even a Baby Ape under it the following turn. Whatever they're playing, you're going to have that extra layer of protection, and you'll need, if you don't get rid of the Trunks on curve, you'll need double removal to get through things later. Now, you still can minus them to 0, so red, particularly Beerus or Daima Goku, might have an easier time with it, but it is just a very scary thing to think of. So I think this card has the potential to be meta warping. But yeah, that is pretty much my look at these. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We should be getting the full review, either a full release, either tomorrow or next Friday. I will be staying up till 5, 6 a.m. to see if that happens, and if so, we are off to the races for recording, because I want to make sure that I give you guys the best content I possibly can, and now that I have the range and space and flexibility to record when I want, how long I want, we are in there. So, with that being said, we're going to go to the closing. Yeah. So, there you go. Said everything I was going to say. I will see you guys in the next video, and hopefully it is set for spoilers. All right, later.